Welcome back to Farmhouse Customs. This is part 3 of our shop build. We're finally going to see structure coming together in this one, and the shop build starts to feel real. I know things seem to be going very quickly in this series because we're just pumping out build videos, but as we were living it, things seemed to crawl. Trying to find places for all the things that should have been protected inside of a building was very frustrating at times. These layers of 2x6s are called girts, and installing them completely around the shop, layer by layer, went really fast at first when they were lower. They became a little more difficult as the layers moved up and we needed to rely on ladders and man lifts. On the front and back of the shop build, we installed the spacers between each layer, but along the sides we only needed to use the 2x6 blocking to establish the spacing. Then they could be removed. The trusses were also installed using galvanized nails, and the only two places that the trusses were attached was at each post, which meant that they were kind of flimsy until we started installing the purlin hangers between the sets of trusses. The purlins added the most rigidity between trusses, and I was scrambling to get at least 2 purlins ran down the center of the shop, because as soon as we installed the last truss, we had high winds, some rain, and a little lightning in the distance. Apparently I didn't get any footage of installing the purlin mounts, but basically they're just 2x6s cut to 11 inches, mounted vertically between the 2 trusses that are sandwiching the posts. These are what the purlins are nailed to, from truss to truss all the way down the building. At this point, the trusses needed to be fully secured to the posts. We drilled 3/4 inch diameter holes all the way through the trusses and the posts, along with 2 holes through each support blocking under the trusses. We then drove 10-inch galvanized bolts through with galvanized washers, lock washers, and nuts. After the trusses and purlins were completely secured, it was time to install roofing. Technically, we should have added trim first, but I'm not a roofer and I forgot all the lessons I learned from RR Buildings. If you have any desire to do a project of this size, I highly encourage you to go watch his YouTube channel. He breaks everything down and makes it simple to follow. We added a layer of insulation between the purlins and the metal. This barrier should help to regulate temperature, of course, but it will also help to prevent moisture from dripping off the metal and soaking into the wood of the purlins or trusses. Here we're stapling the building wrap completely around the shop and taping over the seams. It's really just that simple. I should have stapled completely across the top and then pulled the bottom taut. That would have given me a cleaner look. I think I had figured it out on the back side of the shop, but then I didn't video the full process. I don't know what's up with that. Obviously, I installed the base trim completely around the building and the wainscoting on the front without videoing any of it. Installing this long wall of wainscoting, I was able to put a couple screws in just to hold the panels in the proper place, and then went back over it to install the rest of the screws. It went by super quick doing it this way. Rinse and repeat 3 more times and the wainscoting was finished. Now these next 2 images, if you look really close, you can see that the Z flashing has already been installed on top of the wainscoting. And if you're following along close enough, there's a theme here. I didn't video that either, but this time I had a good excuse. As I was installing it, I had my phone out watching RR Buildings do it. I would watch a step, pause the video, do the step. More evidence that I'm not the proper authority on installing the trim. I do have some extra Z flashing though if anyone wants to see how the corner folds are made or how to join 2 ends together. Now that I'm done rambling about Z flashing, let's talk about the rest of the siding. The 2 pieces that are laying on the ground are there because I attempted to install them by myself. The wind caught them, ripped them out of my hands, and they got bent up pretty good. Then my lovely wife came to assist. I ended up installing those pieces on the back side of the shop where I didn't care as much about the looks. Moral of the story, ask for help when doing something you've obviously never done, especially something you will most likely need a second set of hands for. Just like the wainscoting, I put a couple screws in to hold the panel while I had my wife there to help, and then I went back over the whole wall after all the panels were up. The only difference between the sides of the shop and the front and back is that the metal needs to be cut at an angle to match the roof pitch. Well, that and the door openings. This roof is a 412 pitch. That means that for every 12 inches side to side, there will be a 4-inch rise or fall. The metal panels I'm using are 3 feet wide, which means if the roof height is 10 feet from the trim on the lower side, it will be exactly 11 feet from the trim on the higher side. The gable trim should hide any imperfections up close to the top as long as the siding isn't way too short. On the front here, I had to skip over the doorway, but I screwed in strips right at the top of the opening, hoping to maintain the proper spacing for the siding that will go up there. I did this because I wanted to finish as much of the front as I could so I could install the trim, but at this point the header wasn't installed and I couldn't install it until after the cement truck came. The truck wouldn't have fit if I had installed the header, and I didn't want to have to wheelbarrow concrete by hand. It's probably worth mentioning that I also did this portion improperly, and I had to struggle through installing the trim after the siding. If I had taken notes from watching RR Buildings, I would have installed the door trim before the siding. The lower corner trim was installed next, only on one corner of the building though. Or maybe I videoed only one corner? I'll have to get back to you on that one. Oh look, there's trim on one side of the door. Nice. Anyway, after many trips to the gravel store and more laps than I could count with this compactor, the base underneath the concrete slab was almost ready. We just needed to add rebar, place it on chairs, tie the rebar together, watch lots of YouTube on pouring concrete, stress that it wasn't right, and cross our fingers. I figured since I had never done concrete before, we would split it up into 3 different pour sessions. The way we scheduled it, the first one was on a Monday, then a Wednesday, and I believe the last one was a week later. That means once the first pour was done, we had 1 day to let the concrete harden enough to remove the forms between the first and second pour, and we had to immediately set up for the next pour. I was originally going to just push the rebar through the 2x4 form and then hope that I could remove it after that. But my dad suggested I use something to create a barrier between the wood and concrete. I had leftover house wrap material that I think did the job perfectly. Shout out to Spencer at LT Excavating here in the Klamath Falls, Oregon area. They have this super cool truck that mixes concrete on demand, which means I didn't have to pay for a whole load of concrete if I needed less. And he just shut down the mixing process when we got close to being done. Since I just had family and friends there to help, he got his boots on and helped us screed and talked us through the whole process, even though I technically was only paying him to deliver the concrete. Don't worry, I tipped him for his time. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.